as we know, the Candlelighters Auction is happening this week, and you guys have been directly impacted by Candlelighters. Am I right?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. Okay. So why don't you just start with introducing yourselves?
I'm Nathan, and this is Kaycie. And we have Haven, who's our 4-year-old, just recently turned 4, and Alette, whom we call Letty, who is just about to turn 2 in May. So,
Wow. I know when I first met you guys, Letty was just, I think she was about 9 or 10 months old.
yeah,
And
yeah,
a lot has happened since then.
so much. Yeah, yeah. Our world has been turned upside down, I think, forever, and I'm not quite sure it'll ever go back.
Right. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
I guess she was about 11 months old, like just 11 months. And I was changing her diaper one day, and sometimes she was a little bit, babies are sometimes a little bit gassy. So I was, massaging her tummy, and I noticed there was a lump in one spot, and something in me knew something was wrong. And when we got to the doctor, he looked at her and he said, "This is not normal. We're going to set up an ultrasound." So we had an ultrasound an hour later. And an hour after that, he called me and he said, "You need to go to children's emergency right as soon as you can." Packed our bags, and I think in less than an hour, we were on our way to children's to Winnipeg with whatever we could grab as quickly as we could grab it. I think it was about 1 a.m. They brought us up to the oncology ward, and one of the nurses said to us, "I'm sure you know what you're doing here." And I said, "I don't know what's going on anymore." And he said, "Well, this is the oncology ward for children. This is the cancer ward." That was the first time I think we heard that word.
Your world kind of got flipped upside down in that moment.
Very quickly.
Like very quickly.
As soon as we found that lump, I think we both kind of knew something was not going to be normal.
I just don't think that I thought that it was going to be cancer. Like, it's.
She was 11 months old. Yeah, it's not the first thing you expect, I guess.
In a nutshell, what are the things you had to deal with? You deal with the news.
Yeah.
We have to emotionally kind of figure out how to regulate ourselves. That was not going so well for the first month, for sure.
Yeah.
But then you also have to be there for your kids, but you can't be there for your kids. You can't physically be there for all the kids because they're in 3 different places.
Yeah. You learn a lot of things really quickly and completely against every fiber in your being.
What's it like to watch your daughter go through something like this? Someone as small as Letty who can't really speak for herself.
To have to hold your 11-month-old down to get a gripper put in for blood work or for IV lines or
catheters, like they all feel, it all feels very invasive, right? Like you're trying to protect them, but by protecting them, you've got to let certain things happen, and so you're both letting go and trying to protect all at the same time, and it's.
I had to leave sometimes. I couldn't manage my own feelings, so I would leave, and Nathan would be there for some of those things when I couldn't.
Kaycie and I would get, small reprieves from the hospital, showers, sleeping nights at the Ronald McDonald House, but Letty was there for 2.5 weeks straight, almost 3 weeks, and
then right back. We had a weekend break and then went back.
But at the end of those 2.5 weeks, she was, as an 11-month-old, was depressed. Like you could visually see she was wearing thin.
So this is hard on you guys. It's definitely hard on Letty. And how does it impact the rest of your family?
We didn't do things as a family because Letty's got her port in, so you don't go to public places. So and chemo, her counts go low, so you don't go to the zoo, you don't go to family gatherings, you stay away from some of these things because most important is keeping this kid going. And
why don't you fast forward to today and tell us how Letty's doing today? What's the latest news on Letty?
Well, about 2 weeks ago, she had a major abdominal surgery. They scheduled us in for an all-day surgery. They scheduled, I think, 8 hours on the books. The recovery went, I think, way better than expected, very different than expected, I would say.
Again, she's very feisty. She does not want to be held down. She does not want to be held back. The first day was in bed and didn't move and cried a lot. And day 2, she was sitting for about 6 hours and wouldn't lie down because it hurt to lie down, but she was sitting. And then by the 3rd day, she was walking around playing with toys, and we were going
Wow.
like, so she definitely doesn't slow down. Right now, we're waiting on another MRI. And then after that, we have another meeting with the oncologist to discuss the MRI. And they also, post-surgery, I guess they sent away parts of the tumor for genetic and biological testing just to see if it had changed and what had changed. And if we need to do more chemo, then they can be a little bit more specific.
What is the best way to support a family going through a similar situation as your own?
People start to forget, right? And it's kind of out of sight, out of mind. And I don't blame people for not remembering. Everyone's got life. Like, everyone's got their own struggles. We had people who would send us, $10, just e-transfer, and kind of go like, we don't have a lot, but here's something. Like, it was the little things. And I think
that made a big difference financially. That was.
So let's be honest about that, though. Talk about the financial strain about all of this on your family.
We had a little bit of savings, right? And as you know, you're always trying to store up that nest egg for something, else, something different. And so we had a little bit that we could draw from.
But that dwindled very quickly.
It goes
we
very
started
fast,
we started watching, Nathan, I need to eat. We haven't eaten yet today, so it's supper time already, and I can't leave here until I know Nathan has eaten food.
Through this journey, what has Candlelighters done for you?
I think we'd been in hospital a few days. I think it was the first couple days. They had already sent us a box of things. It's not, I don't want to call it a welcome package. That sounds terrible.
But how about a we care for you package?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, it had a blanket in there and some water bottles, which is not something Nathan and I had. Like the parking pass. That was a big deal for us because having to go and find a parking pass still would have cost us money, and we were paying for parking, trying to just get through each day. So having to just scan the pass at the gate was way easier, and we didn't have to worry about the cost. That was a big deal. And then every Thursday they do meals. They'll bring just like a supper, I think it is. They'll bring a meal.
A good supper. It's good food.
Yeah,
like it was
hospital food.
It was not hospital food, but it was like I don't know, one time it was a really great burger, and the next time it was like really good Chinese food. Like they found good food and brought that for the whole ward. Yeah, they did that, and there was also gift cards, right? That the ward had on hand
from them,
from Candlelighters. So they had like a whole stack of gift cards, and they say, "Here, like here's a couple of gift cards. We know that you guys need to go eat." So,
what did that mean to you, knowing that there was just a group out there that really understood what you're going through?
I think they were the most immediate and the closest people that we were in contact with as far as like organization support. I think they were the quickest to kind of be there. We didn't even know, I guess, who they were at that point, because I don't know if you always do until you need it, right? And they were supportive in other ways too. Like, we talked to them a few times just over messages and things like that. And
if there's any message you want to make sure that you're getting across to anyone who's listening, what would that message be?
I would want people to know that I don't know exactly, is respect quite the right way to say this, but to just respect what the family's going through, because it's, sometimes you have people kind of they're giving advice, they're giving ideas, they're trying to, you know, do things and
respect how hard it is to try and manage all the things. It's not just the things that you see or read about. Like we don't sleep still because Letty doesn't sleep. And when we go to the hospital, she has nightmares and trauma type reactions to things that I don't imagine most kids would. Yes, being in the hospital is incredibly hard. Being at home sometimes almost as hard because you don't have any medical help there. It's just really hard. And even if it's not you going through it, I don't know if it's almost harder to watch someone else go through it and know
I think so.
that it's going to impact the rest of her life. She will always be a cancer patient. And as much as it impacts ours, I think it's impacted hers more. But we all have to.
There's a lot of people impacted by it. Yeah.
The things that have come out of it. Yeah.
Yeah.